Welcome, welcome, welcome to Sapphire Ridge News. Let's see if we can get this horse out the barn today. Give people a few seconds to pile in, and then we'll talk about our topic. This is a very sad and tragic case of Maya Kowalski. Maya is a young lady who is a teenager now, but when this happened, she was barely like 8 or 9 years old, and the hospital was really evil towards her parents. And yesterday, a court found the hospital guilty of kidnapping Maya by keeping her away from her parents for over 2 weeks' time. And her mom kept asking to see Maya, and the hospital, after 2 weeks, told her mom, quit asking to see Maya because you're never going to see her again. You were mean and cruel to her and blah, blah, blah. This caused her mom to go and unalive herself. And yesterday, when they read the uh, verdict from the guilty, from the jury rather, Maya cried. And the question that got me was, did the hospital, through depraved indifference to human life, cause Diana Kowalski to take her own life? And when the jury said yes, Maya sobbed uncontrollably. You know, this is a very sad and tragic case. Maya is now a multimillionaire. They awarded her $22 million for depriving her of a parent through depraved indifference to human life. There was 24 counts. The hospital was found negligent on all 24 counts. During the trial, the hospital said that Maya was a liar, that she was lying, that this stuff never happened. Then Maya's attorney got up and proved that every bit of what she said was true. She even took the witness stand, cried on the witness stand, and told how she was told she was never going to see her mom again. And then that when they told her mom that they would make sure that she never saw her child again, that her mom went and unalived herself. That's just very tragic and very evil in my view. And I was glad that Maya won her case. She she got upwards of $55 million when you add everything up. But because of the hospital's negligence, Maya has to have care for the rest of her life. They sent her to a nursing home that was 3 hours away from her parents, where her parents lived, so that her parents could not go and see her. That's just cruel. How do these hospitals get away with this shit? You know, I was very glad when Maya won. I remember this case. I lived in Florida in 2021 when this happened, and I remember thinking, how does this happen? How does a hospital get away with stealing a child from their parents. Their parent, her mom kept telling the hospital that Maya has a very sensitive and rare intestinal condition and that she had to have special foods to keep it from flaring up, and the hospital ignored her. You know, I was glad that Maya won, but I was also heartbroken to see her sobbing and crying when when the jury awarded her all this money. You know, while I realized that the money isn't going to bring her mom back, but it should be gratification to show that she was right. Hey, Laugh. Hey, Julianne. I wondered why you all weren't showing up. And yeah, the hospital will fight it, um, but they were found negligent on all 24 counts. They were found guilty of depraved indifference to human life. I was very glad that she won. I remember this case from when I lived in Florida in 2021, and I thought, how in the hell does a hospital get away from actually stealing a child? The the jury said that the hospital kidnapped this child away from the parents. Said that they held her hostage for 2 weeks and then sent her to a nursing home 3 hours away, that the nursing home was not able to care for her. I remember it being a big mess because she has a rare intestinal condition that she can only eat certain foods. And the mom was the one who took care of her, and the mom knew what she could eat, what she couldn't eat, kept telling the hospital she can't have that. And the hospital told her, quit asking about your child. You're never seeing your child again. That's just heartbreaking. And then her mom went and unalived herself. And when the jury was read back the question, did the hospital cause Diana Kowalski to take her own life through depraved indifference to human life and neglect? And the answer was yes. Maya openly sobbed in court. I felt so bad for her to have to listen to the fact that after all this time that the hospital kept calling her a liar, finally someone has said, no, you're telling the truth. It's just very heartbreaking, you know? And, like I said, I remember this case from when I lived in Florida, followed it a little bit, and then I saw the um, court Law and Crime had it on their feed last night. So I watched it, and I felt really bad for Maya because she sat there crying while they kept saying yes, yes, yes. And then they read the deal about her mom unaliving herself, and that girl sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. You know, the money won't bring her mom back, but it's, in a way, gratification that after all these years of the hospital calling her a liar, somebody has finally said, no, you're telling the truth. That made me feel good because I always thought that, there was something sinister going on with the hospital by the hospital telling her parents that they were never going to see her again and causing the parents pain and suffering. You know, by the time I added everything up, the the amount was over $55 million that she was awarded. While the hospital will fight it, that's 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 a big statement. She'll be lucky to get probably half of that. What do you think, Julianne? Because I know the hospital will fight it. They always do. But now, because of the hospital's negligence, they said that Maya has to have 24-hour care for the rest of her life. Maya's only 16. And they, the hospital got found negligent. And the question was, did, right, the hospital had a point about having to be responsible for any actions taken, but it was the hospital that told the parents, quit asking about your child. You're never going to see your child again. And the one question what was, the hospital did the hospital deprive Maya and her brother Jack of a parent through neglect or depraved indifference to human life? And the answer was yes. There was 24 counts, and the jury said yes on all 24 counts. Right. You know, because I remember this case, Julianne. I lived in Florida, and when this case first happened, I thought, how can this happen? How can a hospital basically take a child hostage from the parents? The mom kept telling them she can't have this food or this food or this food. She has a rare uh, intestinal condition that certain foods cause it to act up. And her mom knew what foods she could have and couldn't have, and the hospital ignored her. Then the hospital sent Maya to a nursing home 3 hours away from where her parents lived. And her mom had said, well, at least I'll get to see her now. And they said, no, you won't. We've banned you from the nursing home. You're never going to see your child again, which those actions caused her mom to go and unalive herself. It's just very sad, very heartbreaking, very tragic, all the way around. And when I saw it last night, the verdict came back yes on everything they found for Maya on all 24 counts. I said, well, somebody finally listened to her and said she's telling the truth. Because even during the trial, the hospital said she was a liar, that she was lying. Her dad had to get a lawyer because she's a minor. She was only 8 years old when this happened. It happened in 2016. So she's still a minor. Her dad got a lawyer, and the lawyer sued, and that's what went to court yesterday was the civil lawsuit. And her brother were really torn up over this. Her and her brother both cried when the hospital was found negligent and through depraved indifference to human life caused her mother to unalive herself. It's not exactly the way it was worded, but that's that's the gist of it. Yeah, the daughter is alive. That's what's sad about this. The daughter is alive. It's the mother who unalived herself because the hospital told her that they were going to make sure she never saw her child again. Okay. I didn't know if you knew that or not. Yeah. It is very sad, very tragic. And when I felt really bad for Maya yesterday because each time the jury was asked the question, and the question was yes, meaning they found in Maya's favor, Maya cried. And then when they said about through depraved indifference to human life, did the hospital cause her mother to unalive herself? And the jury said yes. Maya sobbed and sobbed and sobbed, and her brother sobbed. You know, and like I said, the money won't bring her mom back. It may not even change anything at the hospital, but finally someone told Maya, yes, you're telling the truth. Because all this time, the hospital has said, she's lying, she's a liar, she's known to lie, she was never in pain. And when Maya testified about how, hey, Texas T, we're talking about Maya Kowalski. Um, Maya Kowalski is, well, in 2016, was a little girl that John Hopkins Hospital basically kidnapped from the parents and held her hostage for 2 weeks. And yesterday, the court found the hospital negligent and guilty of depraved indifference to human life, and that because the hospital told the mother, quit asking about your child, you will never see your child again. The mother went and unalived herself, and yesterday the jury found that the hospital was basically guilty. The question was that was asked was, did the hospital, through depraved indifference to human life and neglect, cause Diana Kowalski to go and unalive herself And when the answer was yes, Maya sobbed and sobbed and sobbed in open court. Just so tragic and so sad, you know. I remember this case because this happened in 2021 and I lived in Florida in 2021. Just so heartbreaking that a hospital could think could get away with this. You know, Texas T. Her mom knew what foods Maya could eat, what foods she couldn't eat because she had a rare intestinal disease that if she ate certain foods that her she would either get the runs or her intestines would get blocked up. And so her mom knew what foods she could and could not have, and the hospital ignored her mom, told her mom to quit talking to them about her child, that they knew better than her. I thought, how disgraceful. How does a hospital get away with this kind of crap? And even through the trial, the hospital said that Maya was lying, that this stuff never happened. And then Maya got on the stand and testified to what happened to her and what the hospital did to her and how the hospital sent her to a nursing home 3 hours away from her parents and then told the nursing home that her parents were not allowed to visit her. Just so tragic. How do hospitals get away with that kind of crap? I mean, I live up here in Montana now, and that kind of crap doesn't happen here. It does not happen here. I love Montana because everybody tries to get along. You know, they raise their kids here to go and help your neighbor, and I better not catch you trying to charge them. They're expected to help their neighbors for free. Okay, Julianne, thanks for stopping in. You're welcome here anytime. We love you, Julianne. But you know, this kind of stuff doesn't happen here in Montana. It does not happen here. And so I sit here and wonder, how do they even think they could get away with this? You know, now I know Texas T that the hospital will fight this because Maya and her family was awarded over $55 million yesterday. She was awarded $22 million for for being deprived of a parent through the hospital's depraved indifference to human life and neglect. That's a big deal. For a hospital to get found guilty of depraved indifference to human life, I wouldn't think a big hospital like Johns Hopkins would ever get something like that. You would not think that, would you? I wouldn't think a hospital would even think about kidnapping a child from their parents. Who on earth ever thought that up should be fired? Hey, Brooklyn, we're talking about Maya Kowalski. Maya Kowalski was a little girl in 2016 that ended up at Johns Hopkins University Hospital And the hospital basically kidnapped her away from her parents, and her mom knew that she had a rare intestinal disorder and she could not eat certain foods. And she kept telling the hospital, she can't have this, she can't have that, and so on and so forth. And the hospital told her, quit asking about your child. We're never going to let you see your child again. Now, I know some moms, if you told them that, there will be hell on earth. But because they kept telling her mom that, her mom unalived herself. Just so sad. It was. It happened in 2016. Maya was 8 years old. I think she was eight. Well, this is 2025, and she's now 16. So she was a little girl. 20, so that would be 9 minus 16 is 7. So she was 7 years old. 9 and 7 is 16, right? And they, to make sure that the mom would not get to see her, they sent Maya to a nursing home 3 hours away from where her parents lived. This is just heartbreaking. By the time they added everything up, they were awarded over $55 million. Hey, Zach, I believe this was Massachusetts. I think that's where Johns Hopkins is. John Hopkins. This is this is just sad and tragic. And Texas T, when they read the award was read out in questions to the jury. And the one question said, did John Hopkins Hospital, through depraved indifference to human life and neglect, cause Diana Kawalski to go and unalive herself? And the answer was yes. And Maya sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. Right, Johns Hopkins. I thought it was Johns Hopkins. And I felt really bad for Maya yesterday because even though she won, in a way I felt good because all this time the hospital has been calling her a liar, saying this stuff never happened, that she was never in pain, and she had medical records proving that she had a rare intestinal disorder. The hospital ignored it. The hospital gave her regular foods when certain regular foods she's not allowed to have because they either cause her to have the runs or that caused her to get constipated. And so when there was 24 counts against the hospital, and basically the hospital was found guilty on all 24 counts. She was awarded over $55 million. Right. When, that's why I felt bad for her, Texas T, because when they read out the question, did John Hopkins, through depraved indifference to human life and neglect, cause Diana Kowalski to go and unalive herself? And the jury said yes. Maya sobbed uncontrollably. Zach, when when the hospital, through depraved indifference to human life, causes to someone's death, there is no limit. And the jury on 24 counts came back basically guilty on all 24 counts, and the the dollar amount varied on each count, but the highest one was depriving Maya and her brother Jack of a parent through depraved indifference to human life. Yeah. Um, so this was not a criminal trial. This was a civil trial, Brooklyn. And that's why I think that it holds so much weight because, it took 9 years to bring this to court. It took 9 years. This happened in 2016. Well, Zach, yeah, some of them are excessive, but in this case, it's not because of the hospital's neglect. Several things happen. Maya now has to have 24-hour care for the rest of her life because of the hospital's negligence. The hospital caused Maya's mom to go and unalive herself because they told her, quit asking about your child. You're never going to see your child again. Yeah, I agree, Texas T. She can sue for negligence regardless. And I think that's what's next because in the civil case yesterday, they found the hospital guilty of neglect and depraved indifference to human life. No, Zach, the max is 33%. They can't go over 33%. One third. I was very happy that the jury finally believed Maya because all this time, 9 years, the hospital has been saying Maya's a liar. None of this never happened. No, Zach. The max is 33%. Whether it's personal injury, accident injury, 33%. They cannot take more than 33%. It's one third. But I wanted to let y'all know about this case because I remembered it from when I lived in Florida in 2021. And um, and I remember thinking, how can the hospital get away with this? Somebody needs to sue them. So when I was watching the jury verdict yesterday, I started remembering about things that happened, and I thought, I need to talk about this. This is this is the kind of stuff I want us to talk about on my channel. You know, how we see injustices and then we get victory, and even though there's a victory, there's sadness because the money will not bring her mom back. But at the same time, you know, somebody finally let Maya know you're telling the truth. After 9 years of the hospital calling her a liar, they even called her a liar during the trial. Right? It, it's probably more than 55 million because it was 24 counts, and the highest one was 22 million, and that was because of the hospital's depraved indifference to human life, causing Maya's mom to unalive herself. And then there was another count that was did the hospital through neglect deprive, yeah, the question that was asked of the jury, did the hospital through depraved indifference of human life deprive Maya and her brother Jack of her mom? And the jury said yes. Right, she wasn't given a chance. I remember this because her mom fought for her. Her mom kept telling them, look, she can't have this food, she can't have that food. And the the hospital kept telling her mom to quit asking about her, and her mom kept telling them, look, this is my daughter. I'm not going to quit asking about my daughter. And so then she found out they were sending her to the nursing home, and so she said, well, at least I'll get to see her there. They won't be mean and cruel like you guys are. And the hospital said, no, you're never going to see her again. We've blocked you from visiting the nursing home. So then the mom went and unalived herself because of that. And I understand that, you know, there's a special bond between a mom and a child. Right. How can they still be the top awarded hospital when they did all this stuff? And up until even yesterday, they were calling Maya a liar. They call during court. I watched some of the clips of the court. The hospital got on the stand and said, "No, this never happened. That would not be possible. There's no way that would happen." And then Maya got on the stand and testified, and that's what I think sealed the deal. She testified, and she testified truthfully and honestly about how the hospital kept her from her parents. Now she's reunited with her dad, but at what cost? It cost her her mother. Yeah, she got, you know, $22 million because the hospital was found basically guilty of depraved indifference to human life. You would think that that would be a big deal for a hospital to get found guilty of depraved indifference to human life. The little girl has a rare intestinal disorder that causes her intestines to get blocked, and she can't eat certain foods, and she has, you know, reactions because of that. And they were in Boston visiting, and she had a reaction to a food, and so they took her to John Hopkins and told them what she had, gave them her doctor's phone number, who had, you know, taken care of her since she was born, and they refused to call her doctor. They told her that, she didn't have that there was no such thing as that, blah, blah, blah. And so the mother said, "Yes, there is. Here's her doctor's name. Call her doctor." They refused. They said, "We know better." And it's like, okay, how could you, quote, know better than her doctor that actually visits her? And so the mom called Maya's doctor, and Maya's doctor called the hospital, and they refused to talk to him. They told him to mind his own business, basically. Just very sad, very tragic case. I was glad to see that she won the case. It's just a civil case, but wow, Brooklyn. Fighting with Mount Sinai? I thought Mount Sinai was one of the best hospitals in the country. I'm sorry that you lost your father like that. But laugh. The jury found that through the hospital's depraved indifference to human life and neglect that they caused Maya's mom to go and unalive herself. That's what the jury found yesterday. But Brooklyn, what do they want to settle for, if you don't mind me asking? Right. If they want to settle, they know they're in the wrong. I'm trying to get Factual Lie to come on tomorrow because there's stuff going on in uh, in England right now. Um, Guy was arrested the other day for reposting a meme because somebody else said that that made them have anxiety. The guy was arrested. Wow. Well, I will pray for you, Brooklyn, and your family. So tomorrow, the live is going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to talk about the differences between free speech in America and free speech in England. Okay. I'll still pray for you and your family because this has to be a very trying time. So tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to talk about the differences of free speech between America and England. England right now, I have said free speech is dead because they arrested a guy the other day for reposting a meme because somebody called in and said that that made them have anxiety. Um, we're not going to do Russia tomorrow. I have someone who lives in England that can come on and talk to us about the craziness that's going on right now. So I'm going to, lead with that and let him come on and talk to us. We can do Russia on a different. Oh, you're talking about the one, uh, the girl that her next Karen next door neighbor called the cops on her 30 times in a year. Are you talking about that case? Right. And I saw this morning that Trudeau may have to resign. Said that several of the MPs, members of parliament, have written a letter to him and told him that they will not support him any longer. So they're holding a caucus meeting Wednesday morning and they are going to do a vote of no confidence. Right. Because Trudeau has done terrible things to Canada. I remember when they had the truckers blockade in Ottawa a couple of years ago, and people started a GoFundMe so that the truckers could have food and fuel and stuff. Trudeau seized that money, seized all the truckers' money. He took their money away from them. Yeah, Trump wants to make Canada the 51st state. Yeah, facts. You know, that's what I like to talk about is facts, actual facts. There was a right after I moved up here last year. Well, gee, in April, I'll be here 2 years. Holy cow. 2 years ago, because right after I moved up here, there was a girl on YouTube from Canada, and she was she legally owned guns to protect herself. She lived in the forest, and the Canadian Mounties came in and seized all of her guns and said it was illegal to own any guns in Canada now. Right, Texas T. And they're getting all up in arms about Trump wanting to charge them a tariff. They charge us tariffs. They charge us tariffs of 125%. 125%. And so when Trump says that he's going to charge them 25%, it's like, well, they're charging us 125%. We should charge them 125%. But that's, I guess, too much tit for tat, right? All these people get up in arms about stuff, and I did a live on Greenland and the Panama Canal, and the Panama Canal. Carter gave uh, the Panama Canal back to Panama, and ever since then they charge us $500,000 per ship to travel through the Panama Canal. 500 grand, and they only charge us that exorbitant amount. And we have a treaty that gives them that canal back, but we built the canal. It's our canal. So through the treaty, they have the right to take it back. Right. Plus, you know, right. We did some really dumb things, didn't we? But I like Trump's idea of buying Greenland from Denmark because Greenland is off the coast of Canada. Okay. What I didn't know is that the Inuit people of Greenland are related to the Inuit people of Alaska. I did not know that. And they said that we could buy Greenland because Greenland has a lot of natural resources. Right. You know, just very bizarre things going on right now, huh, people? Very bizarre things going on right now. Everybody remember to hit the like button and to share this with your friends. Help us grow this channel because we need to get more viewers so we can grow more and do more things and talk about more issues. So I'm going to leave it here for today. Right, Brooklyn. I'm going to get off of here. I will see y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow will be at 3 o'clock talking about the difference between free speech in America and free speech in England. And hope to see y'all then. Love you guys. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.